What's up, guys? Welcome back to Unqualified Critics, UC Live. So I don't know if we're going to make this an official show or not, but for now it's UC Live. And we've got Jason from Third Floor Arcade back again for what, fourth week?
I think this is fourth week, I think. Thanks for having me on, UC.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you on. So we were talking before we went live, and it sounded like Jason was in the audience last night for Game Room Dudes. Is that right?
Yeah, I caught most of it. Yeah, it was a great show.
Cool, man. So we were on last night, and I didn't catch the other shows last night, but I'm sure. I mean, a big topic. Clearly, you can't go anywhere without hitting it. Are the E3 leaks? And we broke some news this week. There were other channels that broke some news. So we want to talk about the leaks, which I know you guys have heard about already, but I still think there's some stuff to be said, like namely what isn't on the leaks, because as much as there are some exciting things that were leaked from Arcade One Up and their product roadmap, there's stuff, frankly, I thought we would get this year that we're not getting. So we should cover that. We also have an announcement from Unico. I got a call this afternoon. I'm really excited. So I'll share that a little bit later in the show. It's not quite product specific, so don't get too hyped, but it's kind of a pre-announcement. But we are going to be getting really big news from Unico, and it's going to be an exclusive through UC. So I'll keep you guys posted on that closer to the end of the show. 8-bit, it looks like 8-bit's in the chat. Jason, do you have the link? You want to forward that out to him?
I'm sorry, what was that?
8-bit Vinyl's in the chat. I thought he wasn't going to be able to make it. If you have the link, could you email that out to him while we're talking?
Yeah, actually, I don't know if I have the ability to do that with my phone.
That's cool. I'll do it while we're chatting. So I'll do it. Hang tight for a second, Vinyl, and I'll get that link to you once.
What's 8-bit Vinyl up to tonight?
Well, we're going to find out. I'm going to send him the link, and we're going to bring him in. So anyway, we're going to cover all that stuff. And again, that Unico breaking news. We'll talk a little bit about what we think is next for iArcade. So Jason, man, I've already talked quite a bit about the leaks. I want to hear from you real quick what you have in mind. And I'm going to put this video up of, I know it's kind of lame to show my own video here, but I don't have any other resource that's printed out with these games. So this will be in the background. Tell me what you think about the leaks.
Definitely super exciting stuff. I know for me personally, I'm looking at two specific cabs out of this bunch that are definitely must-haves for me. I think what was it? I'm drawing the blank here. I'm sorry. Oh, the Simpsons. I think that's the best one on the list. I'm just a little concerned. I hope it has more than just the two games on there, the Simpsons Bowling and the Beat 'em Up. But I love the Wi-Fi on there. It's good for replay.
I think Simpsons Topper is heavily implied to be included too. So as far as I know, it's 3 games. It's not what I think a lot of people thought we'd get. I think a lot of people, and myself included, I thought we were going to get a Konami beat 'em up cab, but it seems to be all Simpsons games. So it's 3. Does that move the needle for you or no?
I'm hoping there's more than just the Simpsons stuff. I think like Sunset Riders would be perfect on there. That's another really popular Konami beat 'em up. As far as the Simpsons Tapper game, I don't think they legally can put that on there. I think that was like a fan-made game, I think. But I'm not 100% positive on that.
All right, I'm back. Just sent out the link. Yeah, I don't know that either. To be honest, it was a game I had never heard of. So I don't know if it's official or not. But we know we're getting bowling, clearly, because the trackball's there.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm okay with it being a Simpsons exclusive cabinet. I'm kind of okay with $5.99, although I'd understand if someone's not. And that was something that came up last night on Game Room. It was, we got Unico in the house. That's what's up. So Jay Mason from Unico. I mentioned earlier, got a small announcement later in the show about Unico. We're going to have some exclusive news coming up. So we're going to tease that. I'm super hyped. But before we get to that, let's talk more about Simpsons, because I think that's my favorite too of the announcements, even though it feels a little bit anticlimactic because it's been teased really heavily. So it's not like a total mind blower, but that doesn't change the fact that it's Simpsons, that the cabinet looks awesome. It's exciting for a lot of reasons. It shows Arcade One Up still has a lot of juice in the tank for getting these licenses that are hard for other people to get. But then there was a lot of other goofy stuff on here, like a Pong head-to-head, which is what I'm on my video right here. I'm clicking on this. And guys, if you're watching right now and you haven't seen my previous videos, I'm having to show my own video because this was a leak through Randy's record shop and it's been pulled down. So as much as I joked like last night on Game Room Dudes about Randy's record shop, their website and stuff, in all seriousness, I really hope nobody gets in too much trouble for this. And I've got a theory too, Jason. I want to run past you, man. I got a conspiracy theory in these leaks. You want to hear it? All right.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hear it.
All right. So total conspiracy theory. Definitely could be wrong on this. Don't take it too seriously. But John D's been out of the limelight. And we know for a fact John D brought a lot of heat, good and bad, to Arcade 1UP. But, man, he stirred up news. He got the community moving more than anyone. And this is the most anyone's talked about Arcade 1UP since John D took his hiatus. I don't want to say left because I don't know if he's still there or not. And that's his private business. But he took like a public hiatus. And when I saw this, I thought, man, if you were trying to stir up controversy and hype, but without being public as John D, this is exactly the kind of thing you would do. You would call up a tiny business, you'd push some info, you'd wait for someone randomly looking this stuff up on Google to find it because there are thousands of people that scour the internet for this stuff, including all of us, but way beyond YouTube.
It's great.
And then you find it and there's the hype.
I totally agree with you. It's definitely possible. It's great publicity. I mean, what exactly is Randy's Records? Is that a big company or?
No, I think it's out of Utah. It looks small. I mean, I don't know that much about it, but it looked kind of an old school website. But dude, it's a record shop. That's not where you would go to look for arcade news, and yet here we are.
I do like that theory. It's very possible.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying. So my hope is, by the way, I see Tony C and Zohar, new members. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Zohar been around for a while, so glad to see we made it official. And Tony, welcome in. Yeah, man, I really hope no one got in too much trouble because you're a small company like that. And not every large retailer, like brand you see in retail, is available to small mom and pop shops. But for some reason, arcade products are. AtGames has done a good job working with mom and pop shops. Arcade 1UP has done a good job working with them too. So hopefully this isn't the kind of thing that damages those relationships. But yeah, man, I agree with Kyle. It's probably the most hits they've ever had. The website still performed. As far as I know, it never crashed. So good on them.
I think it was a win-win for both Randy's Records and Arcade 1UP. I mean, look at all these YouTube shows, talking about Arcade 1UP all of a sudden,
Exactly. All right. So what wasn't on that list that was upsetting? So your favorite was Simpsons. My favorite was Simpsons. And in the chat, guys, let me know too. Let both of us know. What were your favorite products? Because I know you guys have opinions. But Jason, what upset you that we didn't get?
So actually, I'm kind of concerned about. They announced the track and field on that list. I'm not sure if that has potential to be a disaster. I think as far as the controls from track and field, you remember you just pounded on those the control panel and the buttons and stuff. I just don't know if Arcade 1UP controls, as they currently are, could withstand that type of beating. So I'm kind of concerned about that. And I'm also kind of concerned about like the Tron cab. Like, is it only going to have 2 games on there for 6?
And it looked like it. If those leaked images are up to date and accurate, there were games listed on, I think it was the Riser, which was actually not something that we've ever seen in an Arcade 1UP, but they've got the games list on the Riser. It would, by the way, Vinyl, you're not in, or because if you were in, it would show and I could hit accept. So try joining that link again, but you're not showing up. Anyway, it was Discs of Tron and it was Tron. So you're right. I think it was only 2 games.
They should add maybe Gorf to that. I think that used the same control stick.
Wasn't Gorf the game that did you watch? And I'm sure a lot of you guys in the chat watched. It was Retro Ralph had a show. I'm trying to think what it was called. Arcade Pickers. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yep.
Didn't they have? Wasn't that on the last episode? Wasn't it Gorf that they had beef over? Yeah. Man, that was. I told Ralph that was Hollywood AF, man. The fact that you had a split over creative differences, like that's Hollywood, man.
But yeah, so the Tron cab is definitely like a maybe. I'm not sure if I'm getting that one. Same with the track and field. I was all hyped for the track and field, but then after thinking about it, I'm just like, I don't know, with those controls. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll upgrade the control deck specifically for that game.
They should. And at these kind of price points, it's to the level where it doesn't make a lot of sense to buy it just to swap out. In my opinion, again, I don't know. Maybe other people disagree. And I think Tron was $5.99, right? Or was it $4.99?
I'm not sure. I think it was $5.99 though.
If you guys know in the chat, I think it was $5.99 too, but I don't have the list in front of me. I wasn't as wise as P-Dubs to take all that down in a spreadsheet. That was genius. I didn't do that. I wasn't even thinking about getting deleted. At $5.99 and you have to swap out the controls, man, no question. That's too much money.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. We're getting, look at the chat, by the way.
What's that?
It's all over the place. $4.99, $5.99. This is gonna be some Mandela effect stuff. But yeah, that's a lot of money. I'm with you. The quality of controls on games like that are just more important than ever. And if we get those crappy spongy buttons, man, it ain't gonna be great.
Yeah, I hear you there. And I think that big blue Street Fighter though is a great idea. That's a must buy for me, I think.
What do you think about the design of it?
I think it looks a little goofy, but I don't know. At the same time, I think it's pretty cool. You know, it has that giant marquee on there. It's kind of, I got to see it in person, I guess. It kind of looks like tall and narrow. Oh, there he is.
What's up?
Tall and really narrow. What's up, 8-Bit? Welcome in, man.
Hey, how am I doing? Am I skipping all over? Do I have good service?
No, you're good. Yeah, I'll let you know if not, but you're good right now.
I'll hang as long as I can, and I may have to leave abruptly, but it's cool to at least get on for as long as I can.
Yeah, real quick. Well, why don't you react to what Jason just said? So basically, we've got announcements of a lot of games I think people are universally hyped for, like Simpsons, probably like Tron.
Yeah.
Then you get into track and field where, yeah, I've seen this comment over and over. People are worried about, they might be hyped about the game, but they're worried about the quality of the controls. Yeah. And you know, where do we go from here? Is this stuff worth $500-$600? I think that's the bottom line question.
I don't know. I mean, I can see the 500 because we kind of knew about the 500 for a good year now. Gonna go up $100 for most of these cabs. 600 though, ugh. I'll do the 600 for KI, but I have to. But that's probably it.
What if the controls suck? Would you still?
Well, I mean, just being honest and coming from, you know, at modder, yeah, I mean, I think the track and field controls are going to suck. I mean, it's hands down. The buttons are going to suck, but I'm going to buy it anyway because I love that game, and it's still at all the arcades that I play up here in New England, the old school version.
Sure.
And it's definitely, just for the record, is not the same track and field as the NES version, which that's a POS. That's no go, you know?
Do you think that cab is just going to be the one game, track and field, or do you think there's going to be something else?
Yeah, elaborating on that, Jay, is you know, that's my mystery, is the stuff we still don't know. Like, if
which
we
is
look
a lot.
All these leaks at face value, like TMNT, would you buy it? Would you not? Simpsons, would you buy it? Would you not? Or track and field, buy it? Would you not? But they're all Konami, and I'm curious to what other Konami game is going to be on any one of those cabs, because that could make or break the buying it. I mean, think about Konami. We got Contra. We got you got Hype Sports. God, I'm trying to think. What's another?
Well, the obvious one for Simpsons has been talked about a lot, but it's Sunset Riders, and that's the kind of game where I don't think we're going to get its own cabinet, even though I think it deserves its own cabinet. I think a lot of people think it deserves its own cabinet, but I don't know that it has that name recognition to get retailers hype. And that's perennially the limitation of Arcade 1-Up, is they can kind of only sell us the cabinets that retailers get excited about. And I'll tell you, in this list of everything that's leaked, the only title that to me skipped that doesn't look like something Walmart would get excited for, in other words, that I'm excited they announced it, was track and field.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yep.
But otherwise, everything's 100% retailer bait.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote down this huge list of cabs, but it's at the house. I'm not at the house right now.
I gotta love travel, man.
Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Dude, that cab is sweet looking. I love that.
It is.
You did.
Thanks, man.
Rebutton NES cab, man. That's a power move.
Yeah, I liked it because it was simple. You know, it's simple. Everybody can relate to it. I just thought, even, who knows, 10, 15 years ago, knock on wood, hopefully we never think about this, but like, if these cabs aren't a thing in the future, like, what cab would I really keep? And I'd probably keep that.
Yeah, totally.
Just because it's so retro and it's so recognizable. It was either that or make a 10 one. But I have so many of my other cabs with those games that I wanted to do something that was kind of just different altogether.
So I have a question I don't know the answer to. So for a track and field cabinet, other than Hypersports, is there anything else that would make any sense that we could also have? It might only be maybe it's a 2-title cabinet because we know that's what they're doing with Tron.
I didn't think of this. The other Konami game is G.I. Joe. That could be big on one of those cabs.
Is that a Konami game? G.I. Joe?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
But the control, I don't think the controls would match.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I don't know.
I mean, that's the trick. You got to line up the publisher. Let me find my camera here. You got to line up the publisher. You got to line up the controls. And then ideally you have some kind of theme. By the way, I agree with Kevret's comment. Miss Pac-Man 40th, most of the cocktail games. I think that's true too. I don't think we're going to see a lot of new stuff there. We know it's got 2 buttons, at least from that leaked image. That tells me Dig Dug 2, which is cool. And that game is on the cocktail, and it's a good game. But I doubt we're going to see a lot of surprises there. I think that's going to be more about the artwork, is my guess. I don't know. Do you guys agree with that? Or do you think they're going to finally change up the Pac-Man formula?
I think I'm just going to keep my the blue Miss Pac-Man here. I don't think I'm going to buy it.
I think the Miss Pac-Man's going to be identical to that cocktail, just like the Street Fighter cocktail was exactly like the Legacy Capcom. It's the same list. So, I mean, from a business standpoint on the Arcade 1-Up side, I think they're just going to – it's a cabinet that's a quick sale. It's quick money for them.
How about all these head-to-head cocktail tables they got listed?
Dude, I want to know, how about the fact that they light up? So if you guys saw the leak, the thing that surprised me, I think the most out of everything, was we're getting head-to-head cabinets, or as I call them, cocktails. Cool. I'm a fan of that format, as you guys know. But they have light-up decks. Now, for the existing Arcade 1-Up stand-up light-up decks, they have an LED strip in front of your controls, kind of at the base of the monitor, right? And it shines out directly through the plexi, or the deck protector, whatever you want to call it. So that makes sense to me. Kind of surprisingly or not surprisingly, it doesn't diffuse really well, and it turns out the plexi is a little too thin for that to work great. But it's okay. It's not bad. I have it on my NBA Jam. I know you guys have seen it. How the heck would that work on a cocktail cabinet? Where would the lights be to where it could diffuse throughout? How would that work?
Yeah. Unless they got a strip all around the whole perimeter of the glass.
Would that even work though? I mean, oh, you mean like all the way, like inward facing almost? Like
yeah,
okay.
I guess.
Or what if it's? I'm thinking about this in real time. But do you guys remember the Pizza Hut commercial that they ran for the Super Bowl? I noticed that the control panel in the cocktail cabinet, and that one looked like original hardware, but it wasn't. It was like custom, I think, because it was kind of shrunk down. There was lighting on the control deck for the cocktail cabinet in that commercial. I wonder if their lighting is still the control panel, but it's down like underneath.
Yeah. See, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I think it would look cool if the lighting, like almost like cars, how the lights, LED lights under cars flashed on the ground.
Yeah.
Like from up above underneath it.
Well, I'm not talking about that. That's an interesting idea too. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking where your controls are. So you got your hands up on your controls, and in front of that, like your little mini control panel, it's like yay big, got that light strip in front of it. But yeah, I mean, I guess under the cabinet altogether, I could maybe see it. Good question about Golden Axe. Is it a different cab? Good question. I don't know. Obviously, you guys saw for the leaks, there's truly limited info. I don't think so. I doubt they would revisit that. They know there's untapped demand there. I think they would just try to get that back out to retailers. So the answer is I don't know, but my bet is no, it's going to be the exact same Golden Axe.
I think it'd be cool if they reskin that with the original Golden Axe. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. I agree with both you guys. I think it'd cool if they reskin it.
I think it's going to be the Death Adder one.
I agree.
If they reskin it, it would be, I think they would make more money for people who are up in the air about buying it. But I mean, that cab kind of came and went super fast. I don't think there's a lot of opportunity to buy it.
My favorites.
Yeah, and what's funny about that is that was the first time I ever played Death Adder. And if you'd asked me, hey, do you want the original Golden Axe artwork or do you want Death Adder? Even though Death Adder looks awesome, I would have said, no, I want the original. But in hindsight, I'm glad it's the Death Adder. Yeah, Zohar, man, I should do that. For one, you're right. I agree with you. And I agree with you agreeing with me. The only pair of aviators I have been sat on, and they're all crunched up and crappy. So I think I need to get a new pair and wear those.
Yeah.
But by the way, guys, I'm debating, just for everyone in the chat, my girlfriends would give me a lot of crap about my mustache. I'm debating. I always shave it. I only have it usually a couple months out of the year. 1 in the chat to keep the mustache, 0 in the chat to delete it.
I think you should
1
go
to keep it.
handlebar.
I've done that before, actually. So you're
Really?
joking, but yes.
Dude, that'd be sick. You'd be like Hulkamania running wild.
Yeah, I could do that, or I could do the twist. So remember, 1 to keep it, 0 to
Dude,
delete.
now you look like Von Kaiser from Punch Out, don't you?
Von Kaiser, nice.
But you have the twist, Von Kaiser.
Dude, we're kind of split down the middle. I'm seeing a little more 1s than 0s.
I think you should keep it.
Okay.
The UC.
I mean, I think you should. I don't know. I mean, we're talking guy code here. I mean, whatever. But like, I'm not a mustache guy. But like, I think the handlebar thing for you would look pretty cool, and you should rock it for a little while if the
Okay.
girlfriend tolerates.
I'll think about that.
What
All
would
right,
the
boys.
girlfriend say about a handlebar mustache?
Well, I don't know because it doesn't matter because the chat has spoken. Okay, so that's 1 off. That's that right there. Is what it is.
Yeah.
So
Is that the real Zohar? Can I ask if that's the real Zohar?
dude, it is
Everybody
the
is the real
Zohar.
There.
Yeah.
The Zohar. You got to put that in all caps. All right. So for everyone who wasn't here in the very beginning, I mentioned I got a call today from Unico, and I think some of their guys are watching or in the chat. And there's an announcement coming. I don't have the announcement. I have a date for the announcement. So they're going to come on a live show. It's going to be June 13th, 2 p.m. Eastern. And I'll make a post on this and put this out there, but put that on your calendar. That is right in the middle of E3. Jason and I checked before we went live. Like, is that E3 or not? Because I keep forgetting when it is. It is right in the middle of it. So I think it might be a big announcement, but I don't know what it is. And I'm glad I don't know, because if I did, I couldn't speculate. I have no clue. I won't know until they come on the show and tell me live. So right now, right here with you guys, Unico, the team behind MVSX, what do you think? We've talked before about what we think they might do, but now it's concrete. They're going to have an announcement. And you guys in the chat, too, let us know what's up. There's an obvious answer, but what do you guys think the answer is?
I'm hoping they do a Capcom cabinet with 50 Capcom games. That's what I'm hoping for.
In a big blue kind of format?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, like a big blue themed Capcom.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
That was my kind of first hope and goal. I have 0 insider info. I don't know if they have Capcom licenses or not. I don't know if they're going to double down just strictly on the Neo Geo angle. I think, though, now that we know a big blue is coming, even though it's kind of got a weird design from Arcade 1-Up, I think I just sort of want MVSX too. I don't know if that's boring or not, but I kind of want that MVSX with the proper 4 buttons.
So just be another Neo Geo tab, I guess, with 50 different games.
I kind of want to see them perfected. I feel like the first one got close. I feel like the first one was a really good product, but it was a Gen 1 product. And I want to see what they bring to the table next.
Maybe they could put the full Neo Geo library on there and just.
Well, right. We know they've had conversations with
that's
SNK about more games. Yeah, go ahead, man.
That's what I was thinking too. Is like, what are they going to put the other Neo Geo titles on that have not been included with
some Windjammers on
the first one there?
Yeah. Well, we know Windjammers is up to be licensed because it's sitting on my iArcade, and I know a lot of people bought it for their iArcade. So we know it's out there. We know the licenses are available. But can we get them on a cabinet that already has a ton of games, because these licenses get expensive? So the original MVSX, the plan was, I think, to add official, buy these game packs, add them. I don't know where that stands right now. Last I heard it, that those plans were called off, but then maybe they're back on. So it sounds like there's some back and forth there. I would really like to see an MVSX 2.0 with an expandable library. And really easily expandable, like a simple, USB port, even better, which they already have, but even better if it had Wi-Fi, so you could download it that way. Get your 4 buttons.
Upgrade the controls on there too.
And I like the controls, but I'll defer to the community because I think most people wanted better ones. I thought compared to Arcade 1-Up, I thought they were pretty good, but that's a low standard. But yeah, so upgraded controls, a little larger, deeper control deck. And LED readouts that actually represent your credits, man. If they had that, they would have printing money.
Yeah. I think they got to make it a little bit taller too. That was one of my complaints about the MVSX. It's like 3 inches too short, I think.
Yeah, I think the thing that raised an eyebrow for me is Kongs Are Us had a little kind of kind of lackadaisical show with his wife, and he was talking about the MVSX that he had bought, and they said that he never really had played it, which I was shocked. He's like, yeah, it just kind of sits in the corner and it looks really cool. You can see it in the distance and everything, but he's like,
Right.
yeah, I don't really play it. So I was shocked to hear that.
He's kind of a younger guy though, isn't he?
I have
I
no
wonder-
idea.
He
Yeah,
might be. I don't know.
It's possible.
everybody's younger than me.
Yeah,
He
well,
was big like when I was a kid, like late '80s, early '90s. I never had the console. That was just too expensive. That thing was like, I think it was.
Oh
Dude,
my god! Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember the store Babbage's before there was a GameStop. Yeah, so when that console came out, I think I was like, God, maybe 12-ish. That was $600 for that.
Could you imagine having that kind of just rich baller lifestyle as a 12?
None of my friends, nobody really bought it because none of my friends had it, so you couldn't really talk about it if you did have it because nobody else had it. The games were over $200 a piece.
Right. I always said, and I think I read this somewhere and picked it up. I thought it was funny, but it was true. Every town had one TurboGrafx owner at the school, and you could only have one. There couldn't be, if there was like two, they'd like kick one kid out of school. And I was the one kid. Yeah, I was the one kid with TurboGrafx at my school, but there were zero kids.
Yeah.
With the Neo Geo. No one had it. It was just out of reach. And they didn't really market to kids either.
No. Same
by
here.
the way,
for that riser, by the way, for the NBA.
Yeah, so riser is on the way. Nice.
All right, guys, I gotta run, but I really appreciate you chiming in with me for a few minutes. I appreciate that.
Good.
All right, my man. Have a good night.
Thanks, buddy.
We're staying on, guys. So if you just joined, we've got info coming.
Unqualified. That was really cool that you were on P-Dub's channel. That was
super
sick.
Yeah,
that
I was
awesome.
glad. I was glad they brought me on. It was good to get on with that, guys. And real quick, while we're on that, before you bounce, I don't watch as much of other people's content as I'd like to and probably should because I'm busy with my day job and I try to do this too. So I don't always get to see how other people handle their videos. It was cool to be on that video they put on the show.
That was awesome.
For sure,
I just
man.
like that everybody's coming together and there's no drama. I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah, that is cool.
Well, we'll have to start some drama then. It can't be too negative.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Take
All
it
right,
easy.
man. You guys take care. Thanks again.
Take it easy. Have a good
Later.
night.
Okay, bye.
So for everyone on here, if you joined earlier, there's going to be an update from Unico, potentially a big update, and it's going to be June 13th, 2 p.m. Eastern. So it'll be live on this channel. They're going to come on and talk to us directly, talk to the community, talk to me. So if you have questions about that, make sure you're on that live stream so we can check it out. And Jason, we'll have to have you on for that too, so we can tag team it and break everything down. But I'm stoked. I don't know what they have on hand. Honestly, we don't know if it's another arcade too. So it might not be another MVSX. It might not be a Big Blue. It could be something completely left of center. We don't know. What we know is they just announced the stools, so you can order those. $99, a little bit pricey, but I'm not going to judge that until I see one because they might be really good quality stools, in which case $100 is reasonable. And then we know they're working on game packs, or they have been on and off. We don't know if those are going to come or be finalized. Is what it is. Zohar's on his way out, so let's answer his question. Can Unico release Capcom 1-Up have exclusivity? So we don't know if Unico has a license with Capcom or not. But what we know is Arcade 1-Up does not have exclusivity. We've seen other, like My Arcade has a Street Fighter, New Wave Toys has one. So 100%, man, Capcom will work with people for sure. Yeah, Jay Mason from Unico, exclusivity doesn't exist. That seems to be true. We've got Sega on iArcade. We've got Sega on Arcade 1-Up. We've got titles that are on AtGames that are also on other places. There is actually something exclusive coming on the pinball front from AtGames, but I can't talk about it yet. That will be exclusive. But Jay's right. For the most part, these publishers really want to push things far and wide and get their games out there.
I'm pumped for that announcement. It was June 12th, June 13th?
June 13th, 2 p.m. Man, I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm glad they're still moving forward. I was a fan of the MVSX, so that's cool. So let's talk about iArcade a little bit. So I've been playing Alien Storm a bit. I know you're waiting on your Retromania cab. What's the update with that?
So that's in transit. It says Tuesday it's coming. So I'm just waiting for FedEx to deliver that one. I can't wait to get my hands on that.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of curious how many units people are selling. So we know Arcade One Up is 2 million or close to 2 million. Last we heard, AtGames was in the tens of thousands, and it might be more than that. This was a while ago. How many units do you think Irkade has sold?
That's a tough question. I have a feeling, I don't know. Do you think they're selling a lot of these Retromania cabs? Because it seems like everybody bought the Dragon's Lair.
By the way, Zohar, don't let me kick you out, man. I must have misread. The comments were moving fast. I thought you said you're on your way out, and I didn't want to ignore your super chat. I'm sorry, though. What'd you say? You said something about Dragon's Lair?
Yeah, what I was saying is I wonder if they're selling a lot of these Retromania cabs. It seems like everybody bought up the Dragon's Lairs.
Yeah, I think that's the
I haven't
future.
really heard of anybody else getting the Retromania, from these shows and stuff. But,
Well, you got to figure. I mean, anyone with the YouTube show, we cover this stuff. So if we want an Irkade, we've known about it for a while. Every time they come out with a new design or a new big title like Retromania, they're potentially appealing to a new audience that hasn't seen what's going on. So I don't know that that's necessarily indicative. Like think about the Arcade One Up legacy cabinets. There haven't been a ton of people on YouTube that are buying those up. A few people have, but they're not buying all four of them because they're kind of already saturated with other Arcade One Ups with a lot of the same titles. But that doesn't mean they won't sell really well.
yeah, that's true.
By the way, you've got a offer, man.
What's that?
He'll trade you an MVSX for your Retromania.
I already got the MVSX.
Oh, snap. That's even better, Jay. He's already bought your product, man.
I'm a huge MVSX fan. That's probably my favorite cabinet in this room.
Well, tell me about that. Tell me about that, because you had a great video on your arcade collection. Why is MVSX your favorite?
I've always been a huge Neo Geo fan. I love the look. I love that red cabinet. I thought they did a great job with that coin door on there.
Yeah, it was dope.
Just certain things about it. That marquee is amazing. I'm a big Fatal Fury, King of Fighters fan, so I love all those games.
So you have 900 versions of that. You got Shock Troopers.
Just big fan of that. I just wish it was a couple things here and there, but overall, I love that.
Yeah.
It has a lot to offer. Like these one-ups just have 3 to 4, 3, 4 or 5 games on there. This one has 50.
Well, let me tell you guys.
Deal for the $500.
Well, and again, a quick history on that. Arcade One Up was trying to get the license, 3 to 5 games for an MVS. Yeah, and it was just cut out like all the other Arcade One Ups. It was the standard shell. It wasn't a custom frame at all. And for Unico to come in and say, "Hey, we're going to do 50 titles," it's hard to argue with that. I do want to answer this because several people in comments asked about Dragon's Lair. Was that on the spreadsheet? Man, that was not on the spreadsheet. So I don't think we covered this in the beginning. Let's talk about what wasn't on the spreadsheet that was shocking. And one of them has to be Dragon's Lair, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're not going to get it, simply because that sheet was for retailers. So if you guys remember when John D talked about Dragon's Lair, he was pretty clear. We probably can't get this into retailers. It's probably too expensive, but we're going to sell it direct. And it might be a bunch of money and Walmart or somebody won't want it, but that's okay, because guys like Jason are going to go in and order it and buy it, and it's going to be awesome, right? So if that's true, if that's still true, of course they're not going to publish that in their list to retailers because it's not available to retailers. It's just exclusive to oneup.com. So that doesn't mean Dragon's Lair is not coming.
Do you think the II Arcade Dragon's Lair kind of hurt the chances of that coming out with Arcade One Up?
I really don't. I don't. But to take John D, it's so confusing. I feel like I'm saying John when I say John. to take John, everyone's name sounds the same. To take him at his word, he was asked, and it was probably One Up Weekly. I don't remember the source, but I remember watching this. He was asked, "Are you going to do a Dragon's Lair?" And he said, "Well, we were going to, but we're going to delay it because Irkade's doing it." So we know they delayed it because of that. Does it hurt the chances? No, man. I really think it's because the amount of money it would cost to build that. It's the same reason why we don't see an Irkade at Walmart. Walmart won't sell an $800 cabinet. They're not going to sell a $600, $700, $800 Arcade One Up. I think that's the real reason.
Yeah. I think the Dragon's Lair Arcade One Up, I'm going to pass on that one, I think. Especially because with the II Arcade coming.
So is it because of the game? Is it because it might not have
I'm not a big
permanent
Dragon's
screen?
Lair fan, and I don't know. I think they're doing a Space Ace as well.
They are, yeah. Same games list, but the Space Ace skin, which I thought was dope.
I always sucked at that game. The Dragon's Lair and Space Ace, I was never good at. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's almost not a game. I mean, it's a cartoon. You're playing it for the animation quality. You're playing it for the history of it. You're playing it because the cabinet looks really nice. So let me say, I'm glad Arcade One Up's doing it. I hope they come out with it. I hope they do a permanent second screen, because if any arcade they ever made was about decor, it's going to be Dragon's Lair. And if you leave out an extra screen, and now I've got to plug my phone in, right, to have a little LED readout, I've compromised one of the best things about that cabinet, which is it would look super nice. If it's got a big gap where a display should be, that takes away from it. Maybe
that's why it wasn't on the leak. Maybe they're trying to fix that phone thing they had going on there.
Maybe. I mean, John really talked out of both sides of his mouth on that. Will it have an available permanent second screen or not? Then they said after the fact, well, we're going to go back and retool it. So you might be right. Yeah, man, I can't possibly disagree with Zohar's comment. MVSX has the best value. Best look, I like how it looks. I agree it's a little too small. It seems like it's a little too short. I've never seen the unit with the pedestal in person, so I can't speak to that, but I've seen it's a little smaller than the one-ups. But in terms of the options they give you, the price, I agree with all of that, 100%.
The MVSX, I know, saying, how the new Legacy cabs are a little bit shorter. I think they're pretty much identical. The MVSX on the base and the new Legacy cabinets, pretty much the same height.
Which people are upset about the one-up height, so I think it probably needs to come up a couple inches.
Yeah.
So when we look at these E3 leagues, why don't we have a light gun game and a racing game, man? Because if you go back to our talk, I think it was as recent as last week, maybe the weekend before. I don't know what you said. I know I specifically said, dude, we're going to get a racing or a light gun cab at E3, and I may be wrong.
I think they're still going to announce it, but probably, this fall, I'm thinking.
Announce it this fall or release it this fall?
I think they're going to announce it this fall, maybe, for early of next year or something.
But, why do you think that is? Just because parts are hard to get? Because I really thought they'd want to just bring the hammer down on these
maybe cabinets. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to perfect. I know with the big buck cab, I love that cabinet, but there's a couple major flaws. That thing just needs a bigger screen. Those shooting games,
100%.
Like it's got a minimum 19, maybe 20 or 21-inch screen.
Hell yeah! So I have the extra 4-inch riser. The height is good with that. If it's not without it. But it's doable. You can work around it. It's not the end of the world. And also, I'm the guy that's always banging the drum for consistency with these cabs. So I have to take both sides of that. The Big Buck Hunter height is consistent with the other cabs, even though I wish it had been a little taller. I can see why they did it that way. But the screen size for two people to play at once, and you factor in that white border that's like a 1/4 inch all the way around.
Yeah, it's just too small.
For sure.
I still love the cab, but it needs a bigger screen. If they're doing like Time Crisis or House of the Dead, they got to do a bigger screen.
So they talked about there will be an Arcade One Up with a larger screen. We don't know when, we don't know what. I think a lot of people assumed that would be Time Crisis, but here Time Crisis isn't on this list. So I could imagine they're looking at component prices going up, thinking, what can we build without costing us a ton of money? Get it to retail at a somewhat reasonable price, although that's arguable. 500 to 600 is reasonable. We're going to find out what people think. But if you're worried about pinching pennies and not scaring retailers with high prices, you probably wouldn't want to bring a Time Crisis right now. Maybe that's the real reason we're not getting these marquee titles with driving and shooting.
What about drive? As far as the driving cab, you think they could do one of them this year? I think Daytona. That's what I want. Cruising USA, but I think it's going to be Daytona.
So John said previously the earliest we'd see Daytona is 2022.
Okay.
And obviously this stuff's subject to change. So you could be right. I mean, dude, I'd be all over it. I made a video that like 2.5 people watched a year and a half ago about the history of Daytona USA. I really like that game. You should go back and watch that video. I spent some time on it. I think you'll like it. But I would love if they did Daytona USA. I don't think we'll see it till next year. I thought we would see some more games from that Outrun era this fall, but apparently I'm wrong.
How are you liking your Outrun cab? I know you've had it for like six months now or so.
Yeah, man. Funny story on that. So I'm getting ready to move. I mentioned it last night.
Oh yeah.
And right now I'm staging my house because it's going to get listed in a couple weeks. And I'm mostly keeping my arcade. And I need to do a final arcade kind of tour for the channel before I move everything out. However, there's one cabinet I moved because it was just one cabinet too many stuffed into a small space, and it was Outrun, dude.
Okay.
Yep, it was with a heavy heart that I pulled that thing out of my basement. How do I still like it? I like it. I think it's a good cabinet. It's got its quirks. There are improvements I would like to see, but I'll tell you, between that and Big Buck Hunter, I actually think. Well, I think Buck Hunter is the more compromised of the two because of that. I think that screen size is more important than the issues, like kind of the cheaper pedals and the things we don't like about the racing cab.
Yeah, I haven't experienced the Outrun on Arcade 1-Up. I never played that, but I guess the big complaint with that was the pedals, the plastic pedals.
The pedals, the shifter's pretty cheap, but that's not.
Yeah.
It's not as big of a deal. Some people didn't like the height. You do hunch over a little bit, and then the quality of the seat. I think those are kind of the biggest issues.
I was so close to buying the stand-up one, but I never pulled the trigger on it.
Well, how much room do you have for more cabinets right now?
I got it's running low. I got 2 or 3 more I could probably fit in here. But,
see, we got to get picky. By the way,
my plan though is I got a basement and I have nothing down there, so I think I'm gonna kind of rotate cabinets in and out. You know, kind of like what they did back in the day with the arcades.
That's a good plan. A better plan is finish your basement and then put your arcade down there. Yeah.
And,
right now, rotating them out is a good
idea.
YouTube
channel name though, if I did that.
Well, that's all right, dude. People. Hey, man, my YouTube name implies I'm literally multiple people. So we're not worried about YouTube names around here. By the way, a Rush cabinet, man. I played so much San Francisco Rush on the N64, man. Would you buy that?
Big on the cruising series. I love those games.
So would you rather have a cruising cabinet than a Rush cabinet?
I think so.
Okay.
I love Rush, but I don't know.
Cruising would sell better. There's no question about that.
Yeah, those are a blast.
This is what we really need with racing cabinets. 1,000% agree with this. We need the ability to connect multiple cabinets because if you're right now, I don't have the room for it. And unless you finish your basement, you don't have the room for it. So not everyone's going to have the room for this, myself included. But if you're able to roll out, man, and you got your arcade and you got a couple Daytonas linked, that would be
pretty sick.
That would be dope. By the way, we got a new name for your channel. Basement floor.
Maybe I could do a 4th floor. I could do a huge 4th floor arcade.
Jesus, dude. And adding a 4th floor, I think that'd be a little more expensive than finishing a basement.
That's not happening.
Yeah. So if these products come out from Arcade 1-Up, Simpsons, all the stuff we talked about, not Cruising USA and all that, the stuff we've seen, Tron's a game everyone loves. What does that mean for AtGames iArcade? I won't mention Unico because we don't know what they're bringing next, so let's set them aside. But so far, we've not heard a lot from AtGames about next year. We've not heard a lot from iArcade. We might still hear that, but where do you think that leaves them?
I don't know. I think the next step for AtGames has got. You would think it's going to be like a racing, like a racing. They add a steering wheel and some bunch of racing games on there. I could see them doing that. As far as iArcade, I don't know. I could see them maybe doing that as well, something like that.
You talking about separate cabinets, or are you talking about different control panels?
Maybe just add it to the current setup. I don't know.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think different control panels would be helpful. I think at the price of iArcade, it's probably tough to convince people to have a bunch of them side by side.
Yeah.
Some people will do that, but I'm talking about your average buyer. I think if iArcade said, "Hey, we brought a high-end attitude to arcade," what if we brought that same high-end attitude to a racing cabinet? It's going to have a proper seat, and it's going to be $1,000, but it's going to be a pretty nice racing cabinet. That'd be
pretty cool.
Yeah. So if they went that, I don't know that they want to go that route because I think what iArcade wants to do is just sell us software.
Yeah.
I agree with Kyle. Actually, we just said in the chat. They're going to keep going after licenses and games for the store. I think absolutely. I don't think they're going to want to split their audience up with a bunch of different cabinets. But I'm just saying what I would want to see, an iArcade level quality, but brought to a racing game. And then that's kind of your baseline generic multicade for racing. I think there's a big market for that. I could see AtGames doing that probably sooner. But I think you're right. I think AtGames is going to bring just a control panel swap, which is probably a good idea. A lot of people have been buying those pedestals. Those seem to be selling like crazy. So you got your standalone control panel hooked up to a TV. That would be brilliant if you could have a few different control panels laid out.
You have the Legends Ultimate, right?
I do, yeah, just the 1.0, but it's basically the same.
Okay. Yeah, I just have the Gamer Pro. So I actually don't have the Legends Ultimate. But I don't know. If they release a new one, I'd probably end up getting that. I don't know. I wonder if they have plans on doing another AtGames Legends Ultimate.
I'm sure they do. I mean, I'm sure they're going to keep iterating it. If they did 1.0 and then they did 1.1, then eventually they got to do 2.0.
Yeah, maybe I'll wait for that one.
Yeah, and then I would imagine they'd upgrade their chipset so maybe it can handle native pinball better. Who knows? But I'm sure they're looking at it. They've been really aggressive about developing new products. They're aggressive now on the pinball front with some stuff that hopefully we're going to get these announcements publicly in, I don't know, weeks, a month. I have no idea when the info is coming. It's just something I heard last night. But they're doing something in pinball that looks pretty cool. Clearly, the pinball table was a win. And guys, for everyone who's joined recently and you weren't here in the beginning, mentioned it a few times, but just a big deal. So I want to repeat it. Unico, the guys behind MVSX, are coming on this channel June 13th, 2 p.m., right in the middle of E3, and they're going to have an announcement. So we talked earlier about what we think it might be. We think it might be a Big Blue, MVSX 2.0, or just a totally different new format. My gut tells me if it's an arcade product, it's one of those two, but who knows? So anyway, just want to remind you guys, set that reminder.
Arcade, that's what I'm hoping.
What's that?
I'm hoping it's a 3/4 scale home arcade. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think that's where
likely
the biggest excitement is, right? I mean, there's a reason Arcade Went Up got people so hype. It's not because their products are ultra high quality. It's that premise of having an arcade in your house with a bunch of different arcades. But this one is, so Sling Spade has an interesting point. No one has done an Astor City Cab or a Candy Cab at all.
That's right.
That's wide open, man. We got to see that eventually.
That would be awesome, I think. I think that might be almost as good as the Capcom. They did a 50-1 Capcom. Get a little Astro City.
I don't know why people aren't doing it. I don't know if it's because it would cost too much to build. You couldn't pack it for retail hardly. So it's not like something you could package up and flat pack it. It would have to be in a gigantic box.
Yeah.
But we need to see it. People would pay hand over fist. Clearly it's going to cost more, right? It's big, it's plastic.
That would look so cool in our game rooms though.
Yeah, dude. It would complete the game room, I think. From what we have now, we got pinball, we got a racing cab, we have the normal 3/4 scale. We need a candy cab.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
But I don't know who's going to do it. I doubt Arcade One Up would do it. I think we'd see it from one of the other companies first. AtGames, maybe Unico, who knows?
So of those Arcade One Up leaks, which ones are you eyeing up? I know you like the Simpsons, but what else?
Yeah, man. I got to tell you, I like Killer Instinct. I'm really disappointed it's $599.
That one looks cool. That's another game. I don't have a ton of experience with Killer Instinct.
So I
played it, but I just for some reason I never really totally got into that game.
I button mashed the crap out of it as a kid. I played it in the arcade a little bit. I had Killer Instinct on N64. I think I had
that too.
Yeah, and then I think there might have been a Super Nintendo version of the first one, like Gold or something. I actually don't clearly remember, but I button mashed it a lot. I even played the new Killer Instinct that came on Xbox, which was, I thought, kind of underrated. It was a decent game.
Nice.
So I like the franchise. It's not a game I ever really learned how to play. But it's not a game where I want to pay $600 and go online and learn how to play as I go, get spanked by guys that are really good at it. Plus, I have to put in new controls because these controls, I think when they announce that, they need to announce the controls. They need to tell us and this is true for any fighting cab at $600. They need to tell us if it's going to have something better.
They should just slap some Sandwas in that.
Yeah, something. I mean, they can. I don't know what brand controls the original had. If you guys know in the chat, let us know what Killer Instinct had in the arcade. I'm actually not sure, but they got to give us something better than those junky controls.
Yeah. But I'm on the fence with the Killer Instinct cab. I'll probably end up getting it, but I don't know. It's not like my favorite fighting series out there.
This is on screen now, so let's talk about it. That projector Cade, man. What do you make of that? This is from those leaks from Arcade One Up.
That's interesting. I mean, that's something that I wouldn't buy, but definitely look pretty cool. What do you think? What do you think about it? Would you get one of those? By
the way, people are saying in the chat where the controls for Killer Instinct. So it's good to know. I'm sure we're not going to get that out of the Arcade One Up, which is disappointing for $600 because in my opinion, as an outsider on this stuff, I feel like you could afford to put that in there at that price point, but I don't know what the license costs and all that. Would I get a projectorcade? Probably not. So here's what I said on Game Room Dudes last night. And I stand by this. So the issue with a projector to me is the cheaper one, something you get here for a couple $100. They're not very bright. They have a poor response time. So they're not going to be great for gaming. In general, I don't think projectors are good for gaming, period, for a lot of reasons. But for something like a casual game of Pac-Man on a big screen, yeah, I mean, that's cool, no doubt. And I wouldn't even be surprised if this sells well. But for me to buy this and then dedicate a huge wall to it and like have it installed and set up and ready to go anytime, nah, man, I just don't think that's gonna be the best way to play it.
What do you make of all these new countercades?
Dude, what do you make of 2-player NBA Jam finally for people that don't have room for it? But it's a countercade. It's not a stand-up.
Do you have any of the countercades?
I do not. I don't have a spot for them.
I have 2 of them, and like I never play them, so I don't know. I probably
which ones do you have?
I got the Galaga one when it was like $50 at Walmart.
Okay.
And I got Space Invaders, but I got that for like $60 as well.
Are you gonna mod either of them? To me, those seem like good products to like throw a pie in it and put a bunch of games in.
Maybe down the line. Right now, they're just stock, but I mean, they look cool. I just never really play them.
Yeah.
But some of the new ones coming out look cool. Though I don't think I'm going to get any, but they definitely look kind of interesting.
Well, here's my question: since you have them, you have 2 of them, and you guys can let me know in the chat too, because I know some of you have them too. When you play it, if you really get into it, I know you haven't played it much, maybe you ever run into it. Do you find it sliding around?
Nah, not really. I didn't notice. Nah, I don't think
so. They're heavy enough to stay planted.
Yeah, they're pretty heavy, especially that Gen 1 Space Invaders and things like things pretty heavy.
Okay. Because I was worried about 2-player and you're kind of going ham on it with your boy, with you're playing Street Fighter like that Aoki cab, or it looks like we're getting a Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And then obviously NBA Jam. But if it works, it works. What do I make of it? I think it's good to give people options.
I guess they wider, these new ones. These new
so if you remember the Steve Aoki leak, not a leak, but announcement. Yeah, it was extra wide. It was like whatever. I don't know. I can't show it on my narrow
like
view.
30 of those, I think.
30 of them, but he said they were going to do more. So people in the chat are saying it doesn't slide. You're saying it doesn't slide. So I guess it's cool. I felt like they looked like better quality. We know they're going to come with light up marquee. We know they're going to have games people really want. We don't need yet another way to play Pac-Man. So I could see these being more compelling products than the countercades they did before.
Yeah, I could see the TMNT countercade selling pretty decent, I think.
For sure. So you've got a TMNT behind you. But we know there's the Turtles in Time reskin. As far as we know, there are no new games. Would you buy it? I mean, are people with TMNT going to buy it?
That's a pass for me. I'm just going to stick with this one, I think. But I think it looks great. But unless there's like 10 games on there.
Which there won't be. You know there won't be.
I know. But if it's just the 2 games, I'm just going to pass on that. I actually like the look of this one better, I think, than the Turtles in Time.
Yeah, I think
that original arcade from '89.
I think a lot of to me, it's a interesting choice. I don't like the Turtles in Time look as much either. I think a lot of people don't. It's a chance to get the light up marquee, which I know you've already got that behind you, but for people that bought it, normal stock Walmart, they didn't get that. It's got online, which is cool. I think that probably does add some replayability, which is probably the biggest issue. I think they need to throw down on some extra games. By the way, check this out, because I've seen this. So Walter says there's rumors going to be Shredder's Revenge. I've seen those rumors. I really don't believe them. For Arcade One Up to put a PC, a couple of things would have to happen. They'd have to put a PCB in here that could run it that's far more powerful than the chips they're using now, number one. Number two, Dotemu or whatever, the team behind it, would have to explicitly port the game to it. So they'd have to do extra work. And if they were going to do that, Arcade One Up would just call it a Shredder's Revenge cabinet. They wouldn't do all that work and investment just to call it Turtles in Time cab. So I honestly think that's dead in the water.
I don't know. I'm predicting II Arcade gets Shredder's Revenge. That's my big prediction.
If anybody in the market right now gets it with the products we know about, it's going to be iArcade.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And they could do maybe a themed iArcade after that. That'd be pretty sweet.
Oh, they would have to. I think if Retromania showed us if we're going to get a big name modern title that's worthy of its own cabinet. Like you said, we don't know how many people bought the Retromania. Probably only Jong and his team are the only people that know that. But I bet it sold well. I bet that cabinet sold well.
2,000 of them, you think?
I'm going to say no, dude, I'm talking so far out of left field. I don't have any info on this. So right or wrong, they might have sold way more than this or way fewer. I'm going to say no. I bet they sold fewer than 1,000. My understanding is it took a while for AtGames to get to the tens of thousands, and that was with their Legends Ultimate, which was a cheaper price point, had a bunch of games, had a bunch of functionality. The Irkade might have sold, I think they've sold thousands of units, but I don't think they've sold over 1,000 of strictly the Retromania.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Seems like the Dragon's Lair was the most sold one too, I think.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's ever announced what's the most sold or least sold. We know the game titles and what they're doing. You guys heard it here first. Jay Mason from MBSX team. I guess you guys are doing an inflatable arcade cab. What do you think, Jason, about the novelty cabinets? Like the projector stuff, whatever, the Countercade, the kids' cade. What do you think? Do you think that is good for the market, or should people focus?
I mean, I think it's good. I mean, that stuff's really not for me. Like I said, like these Countercades, like I just don't play them. I like the bigger stuff, but I think it's cool they're doing that. I think those head-to-heads look pretty cool. I saw they're doing like a Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah, that is cool.
It looks cool, but I probably won't get it. But definitely looks pretty decent.
I'll tell you guys, for the fighting format, cocktail cabs probably should be a 19-inch monitor instead of 17, because you do get that split screen. And
I've got the monitors look bigger on that Simpsons, that mock-up. Did it look like a bigger screen to you, or you think it's a 17?
I don't know, because the shape of the cabinet looked warped to me.
It looked like it was like bulkier or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't just Simpsons. They all had this weird like thick boy thing going where it stuck out and it was kind of bulbous. I think it was just the page curvature or something weird. I mean, this was a screenshot photographed with someone's phone, I think, because you got that screen door effect. So this is really crappy imagery. So I don't want to read too much into it. But no, to answer your question, when I saw it, it didn't stick out to me as bigger. Okay. But it definitely could be. But I don't know why they would do that for a 4-player. I bet it sounds like they will only go to a bigger screen if they absolutely have to, which would be a 6-player cabinet, which I'm not convinced they're doing a 6-player, but a lot of people seem to think they are. Maybe they are with X-Men. And maybe a Time Crisis where you have to stand back. The cabinet itself has a bulk with the pedestals.
You think the release of the Simpsons arcade is going to hurt the X-Men sales? Because I know before I wanted the X-Men, and now I'm kind of switching.
That's a good point. That's a good point. If you'd asked me, are we going to get Simpsons this year? I would have said no before the leak, because I would have thought they'd want X-Men to breathe. Yeah. Because it's going to be a lot of the same people. And a common complaint I hear from people that buy the 1UP products is, look, man, I got so much space. I can't have 19 fighting games or 6 beat 'em up cabs or whatever. Like, I want variety. You know, where are the puzzle games? Where's stuff like that? And I don't necessarily think we have too many beat 'em ups, but X-Men next to Simpsons takes up a lot of room for basically the same kind of game.
Yeah, totally. I think Simpsons is going to sell a lot more than the X-Men, I think. I think that X-Men game, but if that only has that Captain America on there, I think it needs more than that, I think.
Yeah, Simpsons seems to have it edged in the games list, but I wonder how many people buy it because the secondary games, and how many people buy it because the packaging in Walmart and, I love Simpsons, so let me get that. I think Simpsons is a little more, Simpsons fans don't get as much attention as Marvel fans. Like, there's a lot of products to buy if you're into Marvel, man. There's so much stuff to consume, movies, whatever, you name it, TV show, t-shirts, whatever. Simpsons, not as much. Like, one of the things with Simpsons has been around for a million years. And yeah, I know there's tons of merchandise out there, but we don't get a lot of games. We don't get a lot of stuff to buy. So I feel like between the two, Simpsons would probably sell better. And not necessarily because of the games list, but I agree with you. It's a more interesting games list. By the way, thanks, Stringer, man. I appreciate that.
What about that Big Blue? Are you going to add that one to your arcade?
Dude, so here's my dilemma. I'm gonna be in this small apartment for maybe up to a year while I build this house. In that time, I probably will take my iArcade and my Legends Ultimate. I might take one arcade one up, like maybe a Golden Axe or something. I'm just not gonna have room. It's gonna be like a 900-foot. It's not gonna be a big apartment. It's gonna be small until I build a house. So I'm not going to be out in accumulate mode. If I do buy some of that stuff, it would just be to review on the channel, or it would be to like store the damn thing until I can move, because we don't know when this stuff will be sold out. You know, a year from now, maybe we can't get these things.
How big is this new arcade you're going to have in your new house?
So I don't know. So the current one is about 500 square feet, but that includes a little home theater area, a 7-foot pool table, and then arcades. So it includes all of that. What I'm hoping for is 750 square feet dedicated to just arcade. Maybe a pool table in the middle, but just arcade, not the home theater. That would be separate. That would give me a lot of space.
Of them in there.
What's that?
You could probably fit like 30 of them in there.
Yeah, that should be able to fit 30 plus.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the plan. But we'll see, man. You know what I mean? So Jay mentions costs right now are super high parts wise. I'm talking about building a house. The cost of building a house is super high. Components wise, materials are up. So the budget might get cut a little bit, but I'd love to have a really big arcade down there.
That'd be pretty sweet. Put a nice bar down there. So if I end up finishing my basement, I'm just gonna deck it out. So it'd be an arcade. I have like a huge bar, nice little barcade.
Yeah, man, I think that's the move. I think, there are a couple of things people want to see in their houses these days that weren't a big deal 20 years ago. An office, so you got a place to work if you work from home. And I think having an arcade at home is kind of cool. I mean, the realtors who looked at my house now, with one exception, but so 2 out of 3 agreed, having an arcade in here is good staging. Like when people come and see it, they'll like it. I was really worried about that because I was concerned that would like freak people out. It looks too nerdy down here, whatever. It's pretty clean down there. It's not like super cluttered, but I got a lot of arcades and not a big space. But apparently that sells these days.
So what do you think about Burger Time coming to the iArcade? Are you going to sell your Burger Time cab now? Wait, do you have that one? I forget.
I do. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. They reached out to me and asked if I wanted to, hey, do you want to copy the game to do something with it? And I'm not going to take them up on that. I love Burger Time, but that's not really the kind of game I want to play in my iArcade. But I'm really glad they're doing it because to me, it's important to me that they're doing both new titles, modern titles, Retromania, for example, but they're also doing a good job with the classics. And I think that represents a really big brand name classic title. And it shows that they've got some juice on the licensing front. And this stuff is just like a cycle, man. If they can point to other companies and say, hey, we got Burger Time, maybe Sega wants to open up the vault a little bit more and give them more titles. So I'm glad they have it. It's not really for me, and it's because of that 8-way joystick. That's the only reason. Yeah. What about you, Lynn? What do you think? You're getting your iArcade this week. Are you going to buy Burger Time?
I don't think I am because I'm just going to keep the arcade one up. Burger Time.
Okay.
Fox is in the house.
What's in the house?
Fox is in the house.
Yeah, 19K, baby.
But yeah, they just announced a bunch of pretty good games like a week ago. iArcade.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for Bloody Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool. I have played it, but it's been a really long time. And I've got like a list I'm starting to create. That's one of the games I want to get on the iArcade for sure.
That was a big TurboGrafx title.
Yeah. And by the way, Zohar, I'm thinking of 2 things at once. One, I'm really angry that the TurboGrafx never got hacked, so I can't add games to it, but that's separate from all this. Number 2, Zohar, yeah, man, $5.99. And I'm not trying to start a rumor, guys, because trust me, I have no insider info about what they're going to announce. If they did a Capcom, like a big blue format, but they had just a monster list of Capcom titles, I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if Capcom could do that feasibly with that many games and will let that many games go into one cap. If they did, dude, it would be dope. For 50 and 1 for 600. I honestly think they could pay a little more than that, but I'm not going to say that because careful what I wish for.
Alien versus Predator on there.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
I think it's kind of lame that Arcade Run-Up hasn't included AVP on one of their products. And that's, I've seen John D asked about that. Can we get Alien versus Predator? And I think his response, I don't want to misrepresent it, it's been a while, but I think what he said was, I just don't know if it's a big enough title or whatever. Look, man, I'm not saying it has to have its own cab, but can't you throw a bone down? I know when I started adding games to my Legends Ultimate, that was one of the first titles I threw on there. And it probably deserves to be on some of the cabinets Arcade 1-Ups put out.
Definitely one of the best beat 'em ups, I think, out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I probably like Death Adder better, but you could definitely make that argument.
Yeah.
And it's just such a cool game, and I feel like it's a game, you know, it's not a game that you could go and buy easily, that they've had products, no arcade re-release for it. So that would be dope. Oh man, we got bidding wars already for a product that's not even announced yet, that might not even exist. Zohar saying $6.99. Honestly, I think people would pay $6.99. I think at $5.99 it would sell like gangbusters. I'll tell you what I would consider doing with as little as I know about the licensing, so I could be off base. But if I was in their shoes at Unico, I would want to make a cabinet with far more games than Arcade 1-Up has, so maybe 20, something like that. But then I would want it to be additional games that you can add. And I would hope that that would get publishers off their butts to make more of these titles available in one piece of hardware, because they're getting paid regardless. They're getting paid every time people buy these extra titles. Kind of like an iArcade model, but more of like a bundled model. Like I really liked what they were trying to do previously with the MVSX of having these game packs. I've always felt like iArcade should do that. Like buying, like when you get yours, Jason, you're going to have to go and buy individual games. And it's going to be a lot of fun to pick a lot of those titles that you like. But yeah, I just think if you could spend $20 and pick up 5 games at a time, or 40 or whatever, but I think that would be cool.
Yeah. I'll probably, that first week having it, I'll probably end up buying like 50 games on there.
You'll have to let us know what you get and how many, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they make more money, but
R-Type's pretty good. They just
R-Type's on there, yeah.
So it's like Bloody Wolf and Heavy Barrel. Are they out yet? Or
I don't know. I have not checked. I only know they were announced several days ago, and I haven't looked to see if they're out. I think Burger Time is out though.
Okay.
But I don't know if they're staging it. By the way, Jay responded to talk about a Big Blue with a bunch of games. So licensing is not cheap. Yeah, and even though Capcom licenses to everyone under the sun, I have to imagine those are very expensive licenses, because there are a lot of people that want those. So we'll see what comes. All we know is there's more competition than ever.
Even if it's another MVSX too, I think that'd be pretty cool as well.
Man, I'd be excited even if it's if they do get to finalize details for add-on games for the MVSX. I'd be excited for that. But Jason, when you come on next time, I want to hear what games you end up getting for the iArcade. I want to hear if it lives up to the hype, and because you already have a bunch of arcade products, how you feel once you have the iArcade. Do you feel like you still want to go back and play your Arcade 1-Ups, play that dedicated cabinet experience, or would you rather hang out on the iArcade, or maybe you've got better quality cabinet, structurally, the controls and all that, but it's not dedicated?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to experiencing the iArcade. I think I love the speakers on there. Just really stand out. Just have that music blasting, and seems like they're stepping it up though. With the games that are coming out on there.
Yeah, and I think that's only going to get better, because I have to imagine the hardest time to get these licenses is in the beginning. What really impressed me with iArcade was that they had so many licenses before they launched. I know not all the games were available on day one, but they had secured the licenses, and they hired that guy. I can't think of his name offhand, but he came out of PlayStation. And I think it was someone Jong knew from the industry. And Jong told me once they picked that guy up, it was like a gold mine. They went from... Right. They went from a handful of licenses to like 200 really fast. So that's awesome. And you can tell that they just got this momentum. They're just rolling more and more
What games do you recommend I get on there?
I've been enjoying Map Mania, but I don't know if, I know it's its own game, but you got the Retromania cab. I feel like you have to go back and add as many wrestling titles as you can. I've been enjoying Alien Storm, although, man, what annoys me about that game is I want to play like the in-between sections, like the novelty first-person shoot sections and stuff. I feel like the core mechanics of that game are a little bit boring. R-Type, although I find myself playing that more on the Turbo, because to me that's just how I associate that game. So I think that's a good pick. And Windjammers, I know we're talking MVSX.
Yeah,
it didn't have Windjammers. Yeah,
what
you gotta
about
get that.
Riptide Renegade? You got that?
I think I do. I'm actually not sure. I think I have it. I've played it on my PC. I think it's a fun game. I remember thinking it's not something I'd want to play with a mechanical digital joystick, if that makes sense. But that doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. I've heard a lot of people say they like it. I know it's one of their better selling titles, so don't let me talk you out of it. It's interesting to play a game that graphically demanding. And I say that graphically demanding means not compared to like a Series X or a 3080 graphics card or whatever, but compared to everything else we play on these arcade machines, it's pretty advanced. It wasn't for me to play on an arcade machine, but you know, to each their own.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to get it. Hopefully I have that built Tuesday night. If it comes Tuesday, I'm going to build it right away. Yeah,
and you'll find it interesting putting it together. It's very different than assembling an arcade one up. It's very solid structurally, and once you assemble it, it's like a tank. It is kind of irritating to move it. So yeah,
I know. Question.
Yeah, good.
Do you attach the top part to the base?
Yeah.
Or you just let it rest on top? Like you have to attach it?
Oh, do you have to? Yes, you do. Because I know I've moved it. I'm looking at it right now. I've moved it as one piece, so it does get attached. Okay. Do you have to? I don't remember.
MVSX, I never attached to the base. I just have it resting on top.
Well, the MVSX, yeah, so it had these like screws that you'd go underneath and do it. Okay. This locks into place a little differently. I don't remember if it has to. The one thing I remember from that I thought was cool was when you take the countertop arcade, and we find my camera, and you put it on the pedestal, it's got little cutouts for the basically like the cups. I don't know what you call them, like the feet. Yeah. So you keep the feet on the arcade and then you just go down inside. But I don't remember, man. Maybe somebody in the chat will know.
I guess I'll find out when I get it.
Yeah. It's super easy to attach. It's not like the MVSX. Yeah, it definitely structurally is different. It comes together different. All right, man. So before we bounce, we got any last words, any last thoughts on these E3 leaks, on what Unico is bringing to the table that we're going to hear about on June 13th?
I'm just hoping that announcement is a 50-1 Capcom, but I'll also be happy with MVSX 2.0. I think that'd be, either of them would be pretty cool. But Unico seems like they're a great company, so whatever they do, I'm sure it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited for what they're bringing to the table, and I'm excited to see some of these arcade one-up products become real too, and not just lines on a spreadsheet. Yeah. I'm excited to see what iArcade brings next, although I think it probably is just more software. I don't think they do a hardware revamp this year.
As far as Arcade 1-Up, I hope like all the shenanigans with like the stock of these new machines, I hope that gets fixed, and pre-orders aren't like 5 seconds long and then they're sold out, stuff like that. I hope they resolve all those issues, but so I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have to find out. I mean, at a certain point, everybody understands there are shortages, but it's up to these companies to manage expectations. I think you might not be able to build as many, but then maybe you don't need to announce 30 different cabinets at once. Maybe it could be a little more focused. I think I was surprised that games list was so vast with the babycades, which is, I'm not taking anything away from that. I'm all about growing the industry. But if this hits and it's like you're saying, where they're hard to get and maybe they don't fix some of those supply issues, or they can't fix them, maybe it's not their fault. But if all that happens, I would look at that and say, man, maybe focus a little bit more. Maybe just do some stuff, maybe not all the stuff. I mean, babycades are a new format. We already have, I think, 3 of them that have been announced. We've got a ton of new arcade machines, and we don't have anything on the racing and shooting front, so there still might be more. It seems really ambitious. So my hope is they've got a bunch of tricks up their sleeve for getting this hardware out to the public.
Yeah, it seems like they're they got a ton of stuff coming out for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out, man. Thanks for hanging with me on this Saturday night.
Thanks for having me on, UC. I appreciate it.
All right, man. And fellas, thanks for joining us in the chat. We'll talk to you guys later. We'll talk to you soon. Remember, June 13th, there's going to be some Unico news. So we'll catch you guys soon. Thanks, Jason.
All right. Thanks. See you, UC.
Later, fellas.
Later on.